It was an eventful Week 16 of NFL action with some shocking upsets and still a lot left to be determined as far as the playoff picture goes in both conferences. Time for some NFL talk, and we're going to do it with a former football player, Mike Pritchard, who now is a host for VSIN. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. I can't believe we're already here at this point where just 2 weeks left in the NFL regular season, but so much to talk about, Mike, and we're going to have to start with the matchup that everyone was excited for on Christmas night. That is the Ravens and the Niners. And look, Baltimore, they dominated this contest. San Francisco QB Brock Purdy, he threw 4 picks in the game. Some had him as the front runner for MVP, but should that designation now go to Ravens QB Lamar Jackson?
You know, the tendency is to favor a quarterback in this situation. And, I don't know if Lamar Jackson has the stats that represents or is certainly qualifying for an MVP. He's on the best team in the National Football League right now. He's a quarterback of the best team in the National Football League right now. So I think normally people would gravitate that way, but I still think there's some better candidates in my opinion in terms of guys that are deserving of an MVP, like the body of work. I think that matters. And, Christian McCaffrey is up there. Certainly, it's a fluid situation because each and every week we have a new team that's declared the best team in the National Football League. So I call it fluid. I think Lamar is going to get mentioned, certainly because he is a former MVP player. And, that showcase game, like you just mentioned, Dexter, on national TV right there on Christmas. So there's a narrative being made, but a lot of people want to favor the quarterbacks. I'm not one of them. I think the MVP can go to a different position this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I want to follow up with you on that really quickly because are we being lazy here where we're just always selecting the quarterback? You mentioned Christian McCaffrey. We haven't seen a running back win it in quite some time. Do you think that needs to change in terms of how we look at the MVP?
I think so. You could call it lazy because in my era when I played, you had Thurman Thomas as an MVP, you had Emmitt Smith as an MVP, you had Terrell Davis as an MVP, Barry Sanders. You had all these running backs that certainly that made a difference for their franchises, made a difference for their teams, and those type of players were considered MVP type of players. But I think in the passing age or the scoring age in the National Football League, the MVP has gone to the quarterback. It's become a quarterback award. I don't know if that should be the case this year. No, I'm going to go stronger than that. It shouldn't be the case of that this year because the quarterback position, the play level is down. Patrick Mahomes is not the same quarterback that he once was. You think about Josh Allen. We get great performances like last night with Lamar Jackson, but the body of work, it just doesn't represent an MVP caliber season from the quarterback position this year, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you on that. I think it's time we could start looking at some other positions, particularly in a year like this year where the quarterback play has been down, like you said. Now, continuing with that game, Baltimore versus San Francisco. Baltimore, they now have the best record in the league at 12-3. Should Baltimore be the favorites to win the Super Bowl? And in your eyes, are they the best team in football?
Well, this week they are. That's another fluid situation, Dexter, because each and every week, I think we get these great matchups, and the NFL does a great job of scheduling these meaningful games in the month of December to where we're all going to view and tune in and see what happens, the drama of it all. But they are playing fantastic football. Right now, it's the healthiest team. I think the Ravens are a healthy and deep team. They proved that last night against the 49ers, where the 49ers are getting banged up along the way, and their performance indicated that too to me last night. So there's some other teams that are hobbled, some key injuries. We'll see how it shakes out, but I'm going to go on a week-to-week basis right now in the National Football League on who is the best football team right now.
That is probably the smart move to do right now in the NFL. Also on Christmas Day, Mike, the Chiefs, you mentioned them and Patrick Mahomes. They did not look good at all as they fell to the Raiders at home. Is Kansas City a true title contender, or are the defending champions in trouble where it looks like Patrick Mahomes will play a road game this postseason?
Yeah, they're in trouble. It is tough to repeat in the National Football League. We haven't seen that for a few decades now. I think Tom Brady and the New England Patriots was his last team. But fatigue's a factor. They played a Super Bowl in February of this year, right? And they're about to go a whole calendar year playing football. So fatigue is definitely a factor. I think there's a level of frustration too, because the performances are not elevated. Patrick Mahomes is not elevating himself. His performances actually have not been great. Causing turnovers that lead to points against the Raiders. We just saw that. And then the surrounding cast that he has around him, they're just not as prolific as they once were. So the offensive line is different, certainly, than we saw in the Super Bowl. So there's so many moving parts. I mean, they are one of those playoff teams that once they qualify, you're gonna have to deal with them. But they're just not the same at the same level, right? And I think they are in trouble this year.
All right, got the Chiefs in trouble, not looking as good as they did last year at this time. Now, with 2 weeks to go in the regular season, the race for the 3 wildcard spots are tight in each conference. Let's start with the AFC. Which 3 teams do you like to punch their ticket as a wildcard team in the AFC?
Well, it seems like Buffalo. I mean, that game's going to be monumental. Buffalo, Miami, coming up here, but they are getting hot. I think they'll qualify for a wild card. Even so, Cleveland is one of those teams that's just incredible. The Colts, they control their destiny. They got the game against the Raiders coming up, but then they play the Texans too, right? I think the Texans are falling off a little bit, certainly now that C.J. Stroud's been banged up. So if you think about it, for my money, I'm going with certainly what the Colts are doing, what they're capable of, and then you got Buffalo that's just getting hot right there. And Raiders, they have an outside chance, but I don't think they can cap it off. That'd be incredible to get that much help. So, my 3 teams, let me look them up here real quick and make sure I get them in order. And my guess here, because I am guessing with the wild card, but it is going to be the Colts, certainly Buffalo, and Cleveland. I don't think Pittsburgh can get on that strong enough a run to kind of squeeze in there. So I'm going to go with Cleveland, Buffalo, and certainly the Indianapolis Colts right there.
All right, there you go. Cleveland, Bills, Colts there as your 3 teams to make it as wild card teams in the AFC. Now I'm going to move over to the NFC.
Okay.
Which 3 NFC squads do you think will lock down the 3 wild card spots in that conference?
Yeah, I think those are pretty much set right now. Unforeseen circumstances. Let's go that strong with that one. But no, I think the Dallas Cowboys will get there certainly as a wild card. You got the Rams and then Seattle. Seattle proved something to me this past week against the Titans, and it's a great performance. Geno's back. Pete Carroll's got that team energized too. The teams that are on the outside looking at, I mean, the Rams are phenomenal right now. What they're doing offensively with Stafford, and they do have a great quarterback that can lead the way. The experience factor, I think, comes into mind too. Minnesota, I don't think they can sneak in. Atlanta, and then Green Bay is that wild card that you might think about, or at least people want to think about. But I think they're not ready for that yet. So the NFC, in my opinion, is set with the 3 teams right there: Seattle, Rams, and the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, there you go. Those are your 3 for the NFC. Last thing for me here, Mike. I'm going to bring it locally to New York with the teams here in New York. Okay. Both have been eliminated from playoff contention, and they've had disappointing seasons. Now, look, a lot can happen between now and the 2024 season, but when you look at the Jets and the Giants, which team do you believe has a brighter future?
I think the Jets do. I was high on the Jets, full disclosure, on this season, because I thought that going all in with a Hall of Fame quarterback in waiting, right? Like the track record of that, Tom Brady has been phenomenal. And Aaron Rodgers was going to lead the Jets to the promised land. I really thought that was going to happen just because of the nature of going all in. When that fell apart, so did the Jets, right? But they can rebuild it quicker, I think, than the Giants. The Giants, they don't have a quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones, it seems like he could be if he comes back from injury and he's healthy and he's okay, good to go. But there's still some decisions that need to be made offensively for that football team. I think defensively they certainly have improved, but there's some missing pieces there as well. But the all-in nature of the New York Jets leads me to believe that they're going to be all in again, right? Why not put the chips back in the middle of the table if you can find some more, which I think the Jets will be able to do. So I think the Jets will rebound and have a fantastic season next year.
All right, putting your money on the Jets, well, at least in terms of which team will be the better team in 2024. That is Mike Pritchard of VSIN doing such a great job breaking down football for us and hosting on the VSIN network. Mike, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. We will talk down the road. Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me. Enjoyed it.